recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago.
Doesn't sound the same, Tom.
It's not the same, buddy.
Doesn't sound the same, Tom. They gave you a throatodectomy or whatever. What the fuck, bro?
And beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news.
It's gravity.
Makes it big or makes us mad. I don't know. It sucks. My voice sucks. I hear it. I've never, I don't monitor my voice all day. Now I'm monitoring my voice. And it's
funny because you kind of sound like Sam Elliott got punched in the throat.
I feel like Sam Elliott got punched in the throat.
You even got the mustache, dude.
I got the mustache.
You got the mustache.
Oh, dude. I'll tell a quick story. So I got my surgery, feel just 1,000 times better.
That's
1,000
news,
times
man.
better.
That's great
it's
news.
like, it's night and day. But like, so I got my surgery, but I had to shave my beard. I know we mentioned it before. I had to shave my beard. I was left with mutton chops and a mustache. I looked like fucking crazy Civil War general.
He looked like a relief pitcher. I was calling him the Gooch all day. I was like,
and so like, I just had to do this for the surgery. So they had like a sterile space, that they could cut into or whatever on my neck. So I'm immediately, like, as soon as I shave it, I'm like letting it grow in, but I'm old. So now I'm growing in this gray stubble.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but your beard was gray before.
But
Tom.
it looked distinguished in my mind. Now, gray stubble. Gray stubble.
Gray stubble 100% looks like a dad on a bender.
Dude,
that's what it looks like.
So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So my dad, my whole life, my dad is a fastidious guy. So, and I am to a certain degree too. So like my dad, like me, you wake up, you take a shower. My dad would wake up, shower, brush his teeth, shave. You never saw my dad with a hint of stubble. Like weekend, Saturday, Sunday, did not matter. He always had the same routine, right? So like he always was clean shaven. My whole life, he never had a hint of stubble ever. Then when he was 53, he had this massive heart attack. And I went to go visit him in the hospital. He's laying in the hospital. He's not doing great. But the thing that made me realize that my dad was sick is he had like 2 days worth of stubble. And it was gray. Which, like, of course it was. He's 53. Sure. His hair was salt and pepper at that point. But I remember looking down and being like, oh, you seem fucking old. He never seemed old before. And then, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, that's my dad's face. I'm old as shit. Like, I got gray ass stubble. Like, it was one thing when I had a beard that turned gray. Yeah. It feels different.
Yeah,
to be I got this gray ass stubble. It's aging, man.
This one's starting out gray.
It's starting out gray. That's what I mean. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right.
I don't like aging. Can we not do it?
Dude, 0 out of so far, aging has just kicked me in the nuts 1,000 times.
I like the process. Like, I enjoy most of the time. I haven't enjoyed the last 8 years, but the most of the time I enjoy the process of growing old. It's the growing old that sucks.
Yeah, well, I like the part where I'm not broke all the time. Yeah, I do.
That's solid.
The thing is, when you're young, your body's like, yeah, he's broke. We have to just do what he says. Like, he doesn't have any options. Like, we'll just do what he says. He's broke. We got to cover this. Now that I'm old and I've been able to build a career, my body's like, whoa, finally we can break. Let's just break all the time for no reason. What if his eyes go bad? That'll be funny.
Everybody break at the same time.
And I know my voice sounds crazy, guys. It literally sounds a little bit different every day. It's kind of crazy.
Tom's going through a change of life.
I'm going through the change of life. Well, they had to get into my neck meat and retract.
Yeah. If you're looking at this, you can see Tom looks like he got into a fight with Darth Vader. There's a big fucking patch on his neck. Somebody fucking joked. He got fucking prison shanked or whatever.
Well, I don't know if you were.
But with that facial hair, I wouldn't throw that out that the prison shank happened. I'd be 100%. You know what? You could just be walking on the street and be like, I know that guy. And then he stabs in the throat. Yeah.
I totally know how crazy I look. And I was out in my neighborhood. I'm not allowed to do anything for exercise except for walk. And I was in the hospital and so I was on so much drugs. I don't remember what you were there for and what you weren't there for. So if you were there for this, I'm sorry to tell you it again, but like at one point, the occupational therapist comes in and she like makes me do the stairs and walk down the hallway and make sure that like I'm not wobbly and everything.
Yeah.
And then she says, okay, like you have, you know, these restrictions, but you don't need like a walker. You can go up and down the stairs, all this kind of stuff. And she's like, and you have no restriction on how much you walk. And I said, now we don't know each other. I said, but if you tell me I can do, I'm not allowed to do anything fun. So, and I exercise a lot. So if I'm allowed to walk and you say there's no restriction, I'm like, I'm going to go for like 2 or 3 hours worth of walks. Like, I'm just going to go out and walk. And like when a Lord of the Rings movie is over, I'll turn around and come home.
Yeah.
You know, are you really saying that I can walk as much as I want? She's like, yeah, you can walk as much as your body will let you walk. So I was like, okay, cool. So today's day 8. And I was like, I'm going to go for a walk. So I went out and walked for about an hour, 15 minutes this morning. And so I'm walking and I'm like fully aware as I'm walking through my neighborhood that like, one, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. The only people out walking are like young moms with kids. And I'm out there with my grizzle face and my giant neck bandage. And I look like I just fucking came out of the fucking Escape from Dan Mora movie or whatever. Like the fucking state troopers are going to be like hounding me at any turn. And I was like, yeah, I'm safe to be around. Fuck. All right. Yeah, I'll turn around. Jesus Christ.
Do not pay attention to the open wound on my neck. I'm glad you're up and around, and I'm glad you're feeling good, feeling better. Yeah,
I literally couldn't have done it without you, Cecil. I literally couldn't have done it without you.
I'm glad you're up and around, and I'm glad you're back. And we missed you last week, but we're gonna hopefully have a good show this week. Let's get into it.
Let's do it, buddy. All right, so this story comes from the Hill. It looks like Musk is done spreading his musk all around Capitol Hill. Musk thanks Trump as special government employee status comes to an end. His special government employee status was always on a timer. It was on a 130-day timer because he wasn't officially hired and he wasn't officially vetted. So there's like some carve out where you can like put somebody on like double secret probation for like 130 days or something and then they're gone.
Do you think when you heard that, the first thing that popped in my head is like, why did they follow that particular rule? Because they're breaking rules like crazy. It's not like they're following many rules, but in this case, they followed it, and he left before it was up, and I was like, well, that's really unusual.
Yeah, I think so here's my take on this. I think Musk was a useful idiot for the Trump administration. He was a really great lightning rod that really deflected a lot of the blame and attention away from Trump specifically and toward Elon Musk as they broke all the things they wanted to break. People got mad at Musk as a person, and that diverts attention away from Trump as a president. So I think he was just a fucking useful idiot, and now his utility is pretty much expired. They're happy to get rid of him. And, they don't really care about the Doge mission. What they wanted to do was to break the pieces of government that they felt were ideologically not in step with their fascist boot bullshit. Like the Department of Education saved us no money, fucking trashed it. USAID saved us no money, fucking trashed it. All of the Doge examples saved us no money. Check your wallets, everybody. Yeah. Nobody's any fucking richer. This was always an ideological thrashing. And I think he was just the fucking political lightning rod. And I think he even acknowledges it. Like, I think Musk even says, like, that fucking great big bill you guys passed isn't in keeping with the Doge mission. I'm fucking, what? Yeah. And it's like, fucking nobody cared about your mission.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. You cared weirdly, you weird fucking South African immigrant asshole piece of shit. You cared. Nobody else in the administration cared about the same ideological principles Musk did. He was just there to be the useful idiot.
I wonder too, now that you say this, it strikes me that AOC and Bernie went out and did an anti-oligarch tour when he was in there, right? So like there's a tour that's sort of like against him and against what he's doing. And much of the town halls that we saw were focused on his actions, what he was doing, the cuts he was making, the cuts the government was making. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of Medicaid pushover, right? So there was a ton of Medicaid that came out in those. But there was also very much like USAID stuff that was brought up. whenever they brought up Elon Musk in those town halls, at least the ones that I saw, there was a lot of booing. People didn't like him. They didn't like that he was in government. There was a ton of people, a ton of pundits that were talking about this unelected billionaire who's just rifling through what we're doing as a country and making unilateral decisions, which is really dangerous for all the rest of us who don't have billions of dollars to insulate us, So I think you're absolutely right. I think that there is, it's funny because I would never attribute that sort of cleverness to Trump, but it's got to be, you're right. It feels kind of clever. The other thing too, that really strikes me is they've made a lot of claims throughout this entire process about fraud. And we haven't seen a single fraud case, bro.
None, not one.
So that's a giant fucking lie, right? So everybody who has said, because fraud is a crime, and it's extra special a crime if you're doing it to the government, right? It's really like, think of how often they go after you for, like, we've seen them go after people for tax stuff. Like, that's not a lot of money, but they'll go after you for tax shit if you fuck your taxes up. If they notice, they'll come after you, man. They'll be like, no, you got to pay this or you're going to fucking jail.
You'll get caponed.
Yeah, I mean, fucking A, dude. Like, you'll get there is absolutely something to this. If you do a fraud, that's an actual crime. And they were making these claims that essentially crimes were happening. You can't have a fucking, like, these people were making it sound like when the USAID stuff was happening, there's these senators that are passing this stuff and then just walking over and, like, putting it in their back pocket or giving it to their friends or whatever. And you're like, that's fraud. That's easy to prove. Prove it in court. And not a single bit has been proved.
No.
Because there never was any.
No, zero fucking fraud. The other part of this too, I was just thinking, is like, it's not like getting rid of Musk gets rid of Doge. So he got the ball rolling, took all the heat, takes all the heat from the initial sort of blast furnace of it. And then like a lot of things government, all the real work just continues humming along in the background. So now they get to keep breaking shit, but everybody can fucking hate on this guy. Like, I mean, almost immediately when he announced this too, shares of Tesla went up. Like, Tesla stock went up.
I saw that.
Because people were like, okay, cool. He'll pay attention to our company again, and he won't be off, gallivanting about breaking the fucking government and being hated. And, like, because America's a country like all with short memory, I do think that, like, a lot of the hate and a lot of the pushback and a lot of the market loss that Tesla has will be temporary.
Do you think that he's a true believer? Do you think he really believes in the mission that he was doing?
Musk?
Yeah.
I do. I think Musk is too wrapped up in his own my impression, which is fucking bullshit, and I'm making it up, right? I don't know anything about anything. But I get a strong sense that Musk is such a self-involved, narcissistic asshole that I think he's almost incapable of not seeing himself in these sort of grand terms.
Yeah.
I think he believes his own bullshit. I think he thinks that he is the guy who's here to save us all. I think he sees himself as a Tony Stark-esque character where he knows better and he just needs to lead by example and show us dumb fucking peasants the way through to the promised land. I don't think that, like, he doesn't buy the mythology of himself.
Yeah.
That's my read. I could be wrong.
I mean, the thing that struck me in this article was his apparent, I guess I would say, like, him getting what seemed to be upset about that bill and saying, this doesn't seem like why was I even doing it then, kind of?
Yeah.
Like, why was I even doing it if they're passing this big, blue, beautiful bill, essentially what Trump is calling it, which is like a major, it's essentially just adding to our debt. Like, it's just like you're giving tax cuts to rich people so that we can have more debt, which is what Trump did in his first term. Like, we knew it was going to happen. But I think that he's thinking, well, I was played in some way. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
The statement he makes almost sounds like he's a little hurt by it.
Oh, I think he is. I think he realizes that he's been pushed aside. I think if you're Trump, you had him in here and, like, you took all this for 120 days. This guy stood there and thought he was big shit and cock of the walk. Now he's shunted off to the side. He took all the heat for you. And now you don't matter anymore. And we never cared about the things you cared about, stupid asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's a fucking simpy little piece of shit. I really do. I think he's just like, all right, you got used like the fucking burnt out fucking rubber you are, man.
Ooh, he just called you a bitch, man. You are so dead. Hey, shut the fuck up.
This is fucking great. This was, when I read this news, Cecil, I fucking found it 2 different places because I didn't believe it. I found it in the Wall Street Journal, then I read it again in the Times because I was like, really? This is from the AP. Federal court blocks Trump from imposing sweeping tariffs under emergency powers law. So the thing is with the tariffs, just to kind of summarize this very briefly, the thing is with the tariffs is that the president did not really have unilateral power to impose these broad sweeping tariffs across the board. He claimed that power by claiming an emergency, like claiming that there was an emergency. If there's a certain kind of emergency, that then expands his executive authority. But the International Trade Court was basically like, no, man, you can't just be like, emergency.
Yeah.
There's no emergency, bro. And you can't be like, but trade imbalance. Like, there's always been trade imbalance. That's nothing. They basically called him out on it. We're like, you can't just call emergency. You can't run around playing tag and then decide what fucking ghoul is in the middle of running. Like, that's not how that works. You establish what fucking ghoul is to start with, and that's how you play tag. You can't just like run around and when you're about to be caught, be like, this is ghoul. That's not how it works. So they called him out on it, said there is no emergency, so there's no emergency powers, so you never could do these tariffs. The tariffs are bullshit.
Yeah. And what happened was, if you look at the judges, one of them's an Obama judge or an Obama appointee, but one's from George W. Bush and one's from Trump. And
fucking
they said,
great.
Nah, man, sorry, you can't do this shit. So he's going to have to go back to the drawing board. And so there's been, I think he's been getting he's had a lot of legal problems. And we're seeing in the legal world, there's some real upheavals when it comes to like the U.S. Marshals and all this other stuff that I'm seeing with all this other, like who controls who kind of, who can enforce on the Justice Department, et cetera. I just, if it's not broke, and I have no idea, I'm not going to say it's not broke now because it could just be broke, right? It could be broke and there's no going back. But if it's not broke and we do wind up with some semblance of normalcy in the future, at some point in the future, I just want whoever gets that fucking power to scroll back and roll back fucking executive power somehow. And I think it'll be easy if you get a sweeping win. It's easy to get Republicans on board to get you to roll back that power because they'll say, yeah, we want to try to take away whatever you can do. So just, reset the clock and then pull that power away. Because I think like if you don't do that, we're just going to have these, and who knows, because the more executive power get, the more it's going to make it imbalanced for even to get a chance to get back in, right? There's going to that pendulum's going to swing too far. And eventually you're just going to have, which is what we might have right now is someone who's never going to leave office. Like there's a possibility. Yeah. We have someone in there right now who will never leave office. That's an absolute possibility. So, you just got to hopefully I want to be optimistic and hope that there's enough systems and enough problems that he can't actually do all the things he wants. And there's enough people in this country that will stop him from trying to become a king. But my hope is that whoever gets in there next just rolls this shit back because his, and this is shit you can't fix. Like you're never going to fix the shit with Canada in a year or two. You're going to have to really have a lot of goodwill with them for a long time. They're talking about billions of dollars lost in travel. Yeah. Tons of travel. Yeah. You're talking about tons of travel money that we normally rake in, especially during the summer months. That stuff's going to be gone. You're going to see, a ton of these people who come in during the winter for like the places in the South where that get visited constantly. You're going to see a ton of that money disappear. There's just not going to be the same level of people that are coming here for that. You're going to ruin your back and forth with many different countries that you've had for years. You never get that back. So even if you get these tiny trade wins, you're not going to win anything. You've already lost. There's no way to dig yourself out of that hole. So I'm glad somebody's standing up to him. I hope this stands, and I hope that this is it. This is the end of this bullshit because it's such a fucking rubber band ride that we're on.
Yeah, man. And like, I don't know. Like to roll back executive power would require us all to get together and like roll back like George W. Bush era shit. Like the unitary executive theory is where this all began. And that was George W. Bush administration shit.
Yeah.
That was the attorney general whose name, Ken Paxton, I think might have been, but I could be wrong. There's an attorney general. No, it wasn't him. I forgot the fucker's name. But like, he's the guy in the Bush administration, the W administration, who basically floated this unitary executive theory concept, and everybody fucking signed off on it. And it has been an absolute collapse to the top ever since in terms of power. And like, we got to roll that shit back. And we know that the Supreme Court is not going to do it, right? So we can't count on the courts to curtail power. This will certainly be appealed, and it will go to the Supreme Court. And there's no guarantee that the Supreme Court won't back
There is no
us.
guarantee. There is no guarantee. You're right.
You know, this is a stay of execution at the best.
There's almost certainly 3 votes right away on his side.
Dude,
every single thing comes in, and he's already he has like a golfing handicap for every single one of them.
He's got 3 votes no matter what. He could fucking sign an executive order that says like everybody has to lick his asshole, and it would be like, yeah, fucking Clarence Thomas would be like, sure, let me get my fucking tongue in there first, sir. Like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
He's going to replace Clarence Thomas before it's over. Probably replace Alito too. So.
Yeah, probably. There's literally...
What would that be? How many would that be for him? 5?
5.
Yeah.
5.
He's going to do it. I'm sure he's going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be almost impossible to find a sycophant as sycophantic as Thomas, and the same is true of Alito. Like,
yeah, if he waits to do it, and they somehow win the Senate back, and he waits to do it, I would do what's his face did.
What McConnell did. You have to.
I would do what McConnell did. I would be like, I wouldn't care if it was the first day of your thing. I'd be like, no, absolutely not.
No, does not matter.
We're not doing it. We're not bringing it. No, I'm sorry. We're
never going to show up. You will never show up here. Never.
Sorry.
That's how this works now. That's how you broke it. You fucking bought it.
Yeah, I would 100% do what McConnell did if he does that. Yeah.
We here at City College welcome international students with arms open wide. Do you carry a Danish passport? We are nowhere near our Icelandic quota. As you can see, tuition is considerably higher for international students, but most find that an American education is well worth the expense.
Well, fucking Harvard, this story's from Newsweek. Chinese college gives Harvard international students unconditional offers. So if you've been following this, the Trump administration has a bug up their ass and a hate on for Harvard because they decided that even though most of the cabinet went to Harvard, that somehow the education there yields only left-wing, ultra-woke liberals, despite nearly everybody in the cabinet having attended Harvard.
All this anecdotal evidence.
Right? So, but Harvard basically was like, yeah, we're not going to do what you say. Like, we are going to maintain our independence as an independent private fucking institution. And of course, Trump then went to war with Harvard and continues to go to war with Harvard. It seems to be accelerating day by day.
Yeah.
Harvard students now, international students, are in jeopardy of basically being fucking removed, having their visas removed.
I saw there was some judge put an end to that.
Really?
Said you can't do. I saw it was late today.
Oh,
it was late today, but a judge was like, you can't do that. Right now, what you're seeing with Harvard is, Harvard gets a lot of funding from the government. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And the reason why I don't think it's a bad thing is because it's one of the best higher education institutions in the world. So what you want is for your country to have that. And so if it is one of the best institutions in the world, it should be funded as much as possible to make sure it continues to grow and do the best work it can do. And so if it gets money from the government, then it gets money from the government. That's great. What we don't want is what's happening now, where other countries are luring people away. You're seeing they cut a bunch of this research funding. So all across the world, all these other countries are like, come here. Come here. They're going to do the same thing with these other international and regular students there. Even people that go there now, other big universities around the world will say, hey, you were in Harvard, but you can come here and we'll pay for you to go here. And it makes sense because then you're basically draining our brain and filling yours up. It makes sense for them. And Harvard too, there's a lot of downstream effects when you think about this. Harvard is a big college institution, right? But just like the United States, what's that saying? If the United States sneezes, the world catches a cold.
Right.
I think the same thing happens downstream in other higher education institutions.
Good point, man.
If Harvard has problems, all the rest of them do. You talked about this 3 weeks ago when you were like, all these people want to do that. Harvard is the shiny thing. They're trying to wave it in front of you, be like, Harvard, Harvard, Harvard. But you said it like, it was like 3 weeks ago. You're like, yeah, because they want to fuck up. They want to take a pipe to the curriculum at your local school, at your community college, at your state level college, at your local private institution. They're going to do all this stuff. They're trying to fuck up higher education as an institution. And in order to do it, they're doing what you do in prison, right? They're taking out the big guy first.
Yeah.
They're walking in first day and they're like, oh, well, I guess it's big boy. I'm going to take him out. And they're going to go after him. So that's what they're doing. And I'm glad that we're seeing institutions sort of stand up to them, and Harvard is standing up to them, because if they don't, man, we could really genuinely fuck ourselves in a huge way. We've already done it with education across the board since W. Maybe even before then, we've fucked ourselves with education. Our education system in this country is abhorrent, and we have fucked ourselves every chance we've gotten. I think this is just it'll be another compounding of that.
Dude, 1,000%. The chilling effect, like even if Harvard wins, everybody else loses, because Harvard has more endowment money.
Yes.
So even if Harvard fights and shows the world that Harvard can stand up to the Trump administration, what does that mean for your local, like when I think of like my alma mater, like I went to like a North Central College in Naperville, Illinois, man. They've got like 63 cents in the piggy bank, right?
Yeah.
Like they're
a tuition-based institution.
Right.
Yeah. Like most colleges.
They're fucking cash and carry over there.
Yeah,
like I guarantee
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
So like
week to week.
If I'm them, I'm going to say, well, fuck, man, I'm not Harvard. Yeah, they survived by the skin of their teeth. Look what it cost Harvard. When they're making their decisions, they are chilled. They will all be chilled. Your state universities are like, fuck, man, all our money is government money, man. Whether it might be state, it might be federal, but like you're all your smaller schools like, fuck, I don't have Harvard money. Bro, did you see what happened to Harvard? That's exactly the thing, man. That chilling effect, the brain drain. And then the whole time, let's not also forget that the work that these institutions do saves lives.
Yeah.
The work that these institutions do, that like, this is fundamental research. Like when pharmaceutical companies lie to you, which they're doing all the time, constantly, every single day, when they lie to you and say, oh, we have to spend all this money in research and development. No, they didn't. They get an enormous amount, most of the fundamental research that goes into building new drugs, new therapies, new modalities, new medical devices. That stuff comes from grants and from universities, from the NIH. They do the bulk of the research. These farm companies then get handed this research. They walk it past the goal line, and then they package it up. That's their job. They package it up and they walk it past the goal. But somebody else caught the ball and fucking ran it all the way to the 9, man. Yeah. It's like, and then they're like, wow. So like, if we don't do that part, we get less cancer drugs, right? If we don't do that part, we get less treatment for depression. If we don't do that part, we get less like whatever is inside my neck making my neck work now, Yeah. Because like just as a funny aside, like, inside my neck, when they did the same fucking procedure, when my dad had this done my dad had this done almost 40 years ago. And they had to go into his hip and take a piece of bone out of his hip and impregnate his like neck with his own bone. That's called an allograft. They don't have to do that anymore. That hurts worse because now you have fucking bone scooped out of your hip, right?
Yeah.
I never have that.
Now you can't even do your hour-and-a-half walk afterwards.
Yeah, for real. Because my dad and I were comparing recovery. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking 8 days later and I mostly feel great, right? And like, he's like, yeah, my first one hurt like a motherfucker for like 2 months. And he was in his collar and all this crazy shit. And because they had a scoop, then they went to cadavers. They would go and get harvest bone from cadavers, and they would put that. Now in my neck, they've got this shit called I Factor. This is like a newer, not real new, but a newer technology. We get all this stuff because this shit is developed. The fundamental research is developed by grant money in places like the NIH, in places like your local university, in places like Harvard, in places like Stanford. We need them. We want them doing this work, right? Like, I want them doing that work. Like, it's the reason I'm fucking on the show today is because somebody did that, and now my recovery was easier and sweeter, and I'll be healthier faster, right? Yeah. And the same is true for you and your grandma and everyone you know, and people that like feel depressed and now don't, and like all of it, like we get this stuff from somewhere. We're hurting ourselves. We're hurting, like, this isn't just about like woke ideology. That's nothing. That's lies. That's just making shit up. The downstream effect is to control. The downstream effect is to clamp down and control and to decide at the very highest level how all elements of society are allowed to function.
A Russian agent inside the American government is always a value, is it not?
So Pete Hegseth, just a great choice. He's just fucking killing it again.
I am so happy. I am so happy that he went to bat for this fucking absolute chump. This guy, he's the worst.
Could anybody do a worse job? Like, even if you were like, I would like to fucking just do like, it's almost like he's trying to get fired. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had a job where you're like, God, if I quit, I don't get unemployment, but I got to get my ass fired. It's like Pete Hegseth wants the unemployment, man.
Man, I'll tell you, it's almost like Brewster's Millions, but with like dignity. You know what I mean? It's like you're spending your dignity. He was given like a whole briefcase full of dignity before he got, and then he has to spend it
by fucking Thursday or whatever.
He has to spend as much dignity as he can.
He's gonna buy a dignity stamp and mail it to himself at the end, and you're gonna be like, "That's so clever." Pete Hegseth is hit with stunning illegal wiretap allegations. The White House was left scrambling after reports that Hegseth had fired 3 top aides following an illegal wiretap. So I just got to read part of this to you guys, get the gist of it here.
Yeah, it's a little complicated.
It is. Pete Hegseth's lawyer suggested that the Pentagon may have fired 3 of the defense secretary's top aides last month as the result of an illegal wiretap. White House advisors were reportedly shocked when Tim Parlatore, Hegseth's personal lawyer who was tasked with overseeing an investigation into a series of leaks, told them that a warrantless wiretap was used to find classified documents on the phone of the secretary's then senior advisor, Dan Caldwell. Now, you can't have a warrantless wiretap. You need a wiretap with a warrant.
It's kind of important. It's really an important part of government.
You can't, like, that's just fucking spying on people. That's not a thing you can do. And like the Trump administration, according to this article, the Trump administration is basically spending all of their time running around, sticking their fingers in fucking dikes, constantly trying to plug leaks. Just like, because the place is fucking leaky-geddon, and all of their time and energy is spent trying to figure out who's telling the truth and why won't they stop. So this Dan Caldwell guy evidently like has a bunch of classified shit on his phone, and they find it because they fucking wiretap this guy's phone without a fucking warrant. And then the fucking attorney is like, yeah, so we did that. And everyone's like, dude, you can't say that out loud. Also, you're an attorney. You should know you can't say that out loud. And Pete Hegseth is like, oh man, we should have put that on Signal. Check my hair.
It's amazing.
What's happening, dude?
They're so bad at all this stuff. And the fact that like some of these people in his sort of inner circle are sharing these documents and they have them on their phone. I would not put it past one of these people to be a straight up Russian agent. I would not put it past that at all, because it would make 100% sense for somebody to just be like, yeah, just approach that guy. They're all approachable. I mean, like, tell me, Tom, you can't get Pete Hegseth in your pocket if you approach him on the 17th hole with a 6-pack.
With a short skirt, a little bit of lipstick, and a fucking sixer. That guy is fucking absolutely going to Moscow for you. 100%.
He's getting peed on before the end of the night, I guarantee it.
I do, at this point, Like, I think that it's like that who are those fucking band of dipshit podcasters or whatever that were like unknowing Russian agents? Who are those assholes?
It was Tim Pool and Dave Rubin were the two main ones, guys. Yeah.
I like, no part of me would be surprised at all. I would be surprised, but not in a good, I would be surprised if they were Russian agents that knew they were Russian agents. What I actually think, Cecil, is they're so fucking stupid that they're all accidental Russian agents, like Dave fucking Rubin.
You don't have to pay them even. They'll do it for free.
You know what I mean?
Like, they do it for free.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, if you're Russia right now, you're like, we don't even have to turn them. We don't have to make double agent. They are so stupid. They are single agent.
Let's go out with money instead.
All right, I will take myself out for hookers. It is fine.
I pee on myself then. Okay. That's fucking amazing, dude.
So fucking embarrassing.
Guys, it's such a fucking clown car. And it's so funny because you look at these people and all this shit that happens, it takes less than 4 months for everything to just seize up and break, and so many fucking like people running by in the White House on fire. And you're just like, yeah, man, of course that was going to happen.
Of course.
Because before you had regular people in regular jobs who knew what they were doing. And now you're just like, yeah, no, get that guy from Fox and Friends over here.
Well, dude, it's like we got a TV personality who's like, yeah, it turns out I'm going to hire other TV personalities.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, man, but you can't convince this guy that he's not competent for the job.
Right.
So he's going to look around and be like,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously being a dipshit on TV is a good qualification. Yeah. You're like, that's nothing.
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a dipshit on TV.
It's like, dude, if you hired me for this job, I wouldn't be like, well, who are the podcasters I know? They should definitely do this work.
They're all so bad at it too. And there's actually several podcasters that are part of this group. That Dan Bongino guy or whatever. He's now part of it. There's that Kash Patel who was also part of that stuff. You got a guy who was on Fox and Friends. These are all media persons.
That's it. Because like Trump has said as much that he thinks that like the most important thing is looking the part.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he can't identify the difference between sincerity and acting, and that's why he's so fucking easy to fool. Because he's a fucking fool.
This is a brand new tuxedo!
Hey, mister, are you gonna die?
Happy sailing, Hawk! Oh, no! How am I driving? 1-800, I'm gonna fucking die!
The story's from Huffington Post. Mike Johnson claims big, beautiful bill will only cut Medicaid for undeserving people. Let me actually read exactly what he said, because it's not really different.
It's worth reading. Yeah.
Every district this is on State of the Union, Sunday's episode of State of the Union. Every district in America has people who are on the program who shouldn't be. We are the party that supports human dignity. And we... I can't even read.
That's fucking amazing.
My God. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I can do. This is where I got to be a professional. Woo. All right. We are the party that supports human dignity, and we find purpose in dignity and our work. That doesn't even. We find purpose. We support dignity, and we find purpose in dignity. That's fucking tautological. It's good for the individuals involved. It's good for their community. It's good for society at large. So, like, what he has said here is the numbers of Americans who are affected are those that are entwined in our work to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. So if you are cut, it's because you are committing fraud, waste, or abuse. That you are somebody who is, to his point, not worthy of human dignity or not expressing human dignity.
You're not wrong.
Right?
You're not wrong.
You are not good for the community. You are not good for the society at large. You are not somebody who finds purpose in your life, and you are not somebody who works. Now,
we're not. Let me correct you. We're not someone who we find purpose in your life.
Yes, right. So that is exactly what he is not just implying, but literally saying to 8 million human beings who are going to get kicked off of Medicaid. They are losing access to Medicaid. If you are not from America, Medicaid is not fucking great to start with.
No.
Right? Like this is a social safety net program that is sure fucking a lot better than nothing. And I'm glad it exists. And for the people that are on it, lives are saved. But like, it's not like you get on Medicaid and you are like, woo, all right, cool. I guess I can go to every doctor in America. No cost to me. That's not how fucking Medicaid works. It's just not. Medicaid is a program that allows you to go to certain doctors that fucking accept Medicaid. A lot of them don't. Like a lot of them don't. A lot more don't than do. And you can get like cheaper access to care for sure. It again saves lives. It's a great program. In America, it's like one of the better programs we have. But if you were in England or Canada or Australia, you'd be like, that's fucking horrible.
It's shit.
That's
it's
nothing.
Garbage.
This by comparison to a real system where we care and care for is trash. So like we're kicking people off something that isn't that good to start with. But it's still the best America's going to give these people, right? And like, it's something that all of us, I think about this all the time. I don't need social safety nets today. I might tomorrow. I don't know what the rest of my life is going to look like.
Right.
There, like any number of things can happen in our lives, no matter where we are and how we've positioned ourselves, what choices we've made.
Right.
We are not. We are not the sum of our choices. We are mostly the sum of a series of accidents and a sum of a series of luck. That's why things have gone. Like if things have gone well in your life, it's probably because of luck. Luck has played a huge part in your ability to be successful. It's played a part in your ability to be healthy. It's played, like if you're healthy, that's good luck.
Yeah.
Because the guy next to you is unhealthy, probably just bad luck. When my neck fucking went all shitty, I just woke up that way. Bad luck. Right? If you don't have diabetes and somebody else does, they had bad luck and you don't. That's it. That's all that it is. So much of our success in the world is not because of the choices we make and who we are and our virtue and all of that stuff. It's just luck. It's the luck of our birth. It's the luck of our parents' birth. It's the luck of our skin color. It's the luck of our gender. It's the luck of the safety nets we had growing up that allowed us to make certain choices. And it is all accumulative. It's aggregate. And like, we know this because when you look top down sociologically, you can see that the greatest predictors for health and success and all of these other things are like, how healthy were your parents?
Yeah.
Right? How financially successful were your parents? Well, like if that's a predictor for your health and success, that means like, that's just good luck. It's fucking good luck. So I think about that all the time when I think about these social safety net programs, these social welfare programs. I have been fortunate enough in my adult life not to need these things, but I needed them when I was a kid.
Sure.
I had free lunch because I didn't have any fucking money. And that's how I ate food, you know? And like, that could happen again to me tomorrow. And there's a lot of people who fucking ride in on their fucking high horse because they don't need it today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other thing too that they say is like, well, I need it, but you don't, right? Like my situation is valid. Yours isn't.
Right.
And what we're seeing right now is him talking about who's not going to get it. These people shouldn't get it. These people are people who are cheating the system. And I like going the opposite way, right? If one or two people or, a small number of people game a system to get something that you even said isn't all that great, I'm okay with that,
sure.
Right? Like there was these school lunch things that this reminds me of the school lunch stuff that was happening where everybody's like, there's kids right now who don't need these school lunches who are getting them, and we don't think that's right. So we don't want any school lunches for anybody. And you're like, that's fucking stupid, right? If some kid who happens to be well off gets a free sandwich, but then also some kid who really needs to eat because he hasn't eaten since yesterday afternoon needs a sandwich, I would much rather give 2 sandwiches away, one to a person who didn't kind of need one and one who very much did, than to cut the entire program out and nobody gets a sandwich. Because like we've been talking about since they've been talking about these cuts, it's not like that goes back into your pocket. It's not like these Medicare cuts are going to suddenly turn it so you look at your tax bill next year and you say, wow, man, I really got a hell of a return because we cut all those people off Medicaid. That's not going to happen, man. Nope. It's not going to come back to you. It's not going to come back to any of your businesses. It's going to go to it's going to like the richest people in the country. Those are the people. Or they're just going to basically pile it on to other tax breaks that these people get. So it's all a joke. It's all just not for you. And so they're going to take away from the most vulnerable population in the United States. And then they're just going to stack what they took away. It's a reverse Robin Hood. They're going to stack it on top of the richest shit. The people with the most money, they're going to get the benefit. They're going to see this. They're going to be able to keep the same tax cuts that they've had for a long time. They won't have to increase those things. And that will be good for them because they will be able to keep those friends, giving them money and helping them win elections. And the poorest people among us, they're going to be the ones who get fucked.
Yeah, man.
I would
100%
much rather see the people in this country that are in the hardest hit people in this country have an easier time than the richest people in this country have an easier time.
Yeah, man. Like if I wake up and it's like, oh my God, somebody got medicine that okay. Yeah. Give them all medicine. Here's the thing. Like, I already want to give us all medicine. So you can't persuade me that we gave the wrong guy medicine.
Yeah.
That's not, there's no
you're
argument.
Absolutely right. It's a human right, for Christ's sakes.
I can't even understand a world where you're like, I am incensed. I am just incensed that guy gamed the system and went to the doctor. I'm like, they should all go to the doctor, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
just
man.
all of them, like 100% of them should all get the medicine they need. They should all go to the doctor that they want to go to. Like, everything that isn't that is already a fucking war crime. It's already a disgusting
You're absolutely
shame.
right. You're absolutely right. It's even worse with this.
Yeah.
It's even worse with this because it should be a human right.
Yes.
And they're saying, we don't even want to give them what we would consider the most basic of care.
Yep.
We won't do that for them. And like you suggest, it's not even good care.
Not. If
it's
this
not even good.
It's not like the NHS. It's not like the Canadian fucking healthcare system. It's not like whatever the fuck they got in Australia. Like Medicaid is not comparable to that.
Yeah, it's not the same thing that you get when you're 65 or Medicare.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
It's not.
Yeah.
No.
Pardon the interruption, but now we choose to dwell a little longer on the subject of shoes.
Well, Trump's on he's on a bit of a clemency and pardoning spree, Cecil. And,
rich people.
It's rich people and tax cheats and people that, attended his fucking crypto dinner. So,
and
there's nothing to see here, guys. Nothing to see.
And somebody who tried to sell a stolen diary to Project Veritas. So it's those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's those people. It's people who were essentially on his side. And now it's just quid pro quo. I just let people out of jail. It doesn't matter. And so, that's what we're going to see with this from now on. I don't know. There's a lot to talk about here, but genuinely 2 people that are relatively horrible get released. And there's a real estate fraud, just massive real estate fraud from these people.
$30 million or $36 million.
Just let them out. No problem.
Well,
it's fine.
He's like, oh yeah, I think he was treated very harshly. Well, here's why you think that, because they were convicted of basically doing the same shit he was convicted of doing.
Yes,
right?
yes.
He's got remember, this motherfucker is a 32 times felon. And he's a felon because he lied. Right? He committed a series of financial frauds in order to get loans based on scorping his asset values, right? And cheating banks out of these loans. And he claims it was all fine because he paid it back. Well, if I rob your fucking house and then I pay it back, I still robbed your fucking house. If I commit fraud to get a loan and then I pay the loan back, I still committed the fraud. The fact that you paid it back is fucking nothing. It's literally nothing. It's not even a relevant piece of the question. But he sees this and he's like, well, yeah, I did that. That's what rich people do. We game the fucking system. We lie to the banks. We cheat the system. Yeah, why would we want to get in trouble for that? I don't want to build a system.
We shell game our money between different accounts. We shell game our money around, and then you don't know where it is, and then it's the end of it. And that's how it works.
That's it. And this is the most openly corrupt administration that you can
Just
even imagine.
Wide open.
It's
just wide open.
Yeah, there's not even an attempt to obfuscate anything. There's not even an attempt to be like, well, you know, like there were extenuating circumstances, or there's none of that. Like this fucking tax cheat. The tax cheat's mother attended his $1 million crypto dinner.
Yeah.
He had $1 million crypto dinner. This guy is making a fucking fortune selling the presidency.
Yeah.
His personal wealth has fucking doubled. Since he got embroiled in politics.
And these organizations that are around him, because he's not getting paid $1 million for this. It's going to an organization that is around him that uses it for political gain. But they essentially can have an unlimited amount of money, and they can receive unlimited amounts of donations. So they hold $1 million dinners and people show up, and then that all goes into the coffers to go then elect other people who will then do the things he wants. And you're not wrong that he hasn't personally enriched himself in multiple ways so far too. So it's not only has he enriched these like essentially super PACs that are around him, he's also enriched himself in many ways.
And there's very little regulation on how that money is spent. So like if that money goes into these fucking super PAC kitties, like you can use that money to buy the things that you want to buy.
Yep.
Like, and you can offset costs that you otherwise would normally bear. So like, it's like a lot of the money that isn't like technically his becomes sort of de facto his.
Yeah.
It's like if you've got a job that pays for all of your dinners, right? It saves your grocery bill. Now I don't have I'm being a little ridiculous, but like, just to give like a real world example, if my job buys me a company car, I don't have to have a car. If my job gives me a company phone, I don't have to pay for a phone. If my job pays for all my meals and writes them off because I, talked about something at work, then I don't have a grocery bill. If my job keeps doing those things, then all of a sudden, while they're not writing me a check for anything, but all the other money I have coming in off to the side,
a lot of other stuff,
goes a fucking lot further.
Sure.
That's how it's part of how all this money laundering bullshit works.
Yeah.
Like being in the corporate world personally, I experience a tiny degree of this where I see all these little ways where it is, and I'm not wealthy, but it is cheaper to be wealthy, right? So like I do have a company phone. I haven't had a phone bill. I have not personally had a cell phone bill in 20 years. I don't know the last time I've gotten a cell phone bill. My work is always paid for my cell phone itself and my phone bill as long as I can remember, honestly. It's been 2 decades. That's money that never comes out of my pocket. I never have to earn it, pay taxes on it, and then give it to somebody else. So that money is that's a benefit that I get, right? It's a big benefit that I get. If I am out and about working, especially when I was in the office, I had a lot of free meals, man. I had a lot of free meals. I got to go to some really nice places entirely for free because I'm doing a work thing. Oh, I'm doing another work thing. Oh, I'm doing another work thing. I'm going out to really nice dinners, to do a work thing again. That stuff, even at my level, it's tiny. But you start looking at this with super PAC money, man, your travel is free, your clothes are free, your fucking meals are free. You're all the things you guys think of that you spend, all that shit's taken care of, man. All that shit's wiped.
Yeah.
Take away my thoughts, my memories, everything that makes me me, so they can put me to work for the rest of my life, mopping floors, cleaning.
All right, we got to talk about the mega bill, Cecil. This story's from NPR. Yeah. So people should know what's in this bill. Some stuff in this bill, I don't hate every single thing in this bill, Cecil. I thought I would. I don't think I hate every single thing in this bill. Let's talk about what's in here. They're extending the $3.8 trillion tax cuts. That's really the big thing, right? That's a huge, now it's one of the big things. The 2017 tax cuts were some of the largest tax cuts in American history. They pushed an enormous amount of money up to the top earners and corporations in this country.
Those people make a lot of money because of this. Yep. They get to keep a lot of money. He cut that tax rate from something like 37 to 22 or something.
Yeah. Just
huge,
a massive,
huge,
and there's lots of parts of that tax bill allow people to create different corporate types and corporate structures, which are billed or taxed at different and lower rates. There's a lot of ways that moves money up to the top. and saves corporations a ton of money, $3.8 trillion in tax cuts. No taxes on tips or overtime. This is a little bit of a misnomer. I want to talk about the no taxes on tips piece first. It's not true. It's no taxes on cash tips only. Nobody was already paying taxes on cash tips. Almost everybody gets cash and puts it in their pocket. I'm not saying Cecil does this. Cecil's the only person in America who would get a $1.75 cash tip and write it down and declare it on his taxes. Every other person in America, you know I'm right.
Shut your face, Tom.
You fucking know I'm right, you honest motherfucker. Every other person you've ever known.
That. I would 100% do that.
I would 1,000%. You'd have a fucking logbook.
100% do that. I would not want to be the guy who's like, no, I have to pay taxes on that.
Cecil, you're the best person I know. It's annoying. No, I love you. They're the best person I know. Like, but like, if I got a cash,
I do it. I
know you would.
I know you.
But you know I'm right. Yeah, nobody pays.
No,
tax.
There's a reason why those people
on
make
cash.
So much money. That's why those servers in Chicago that work for these high-end restaurants, if they did like cash money for that, if they, especially back in the day, right? Now everybody's paying with a card.
Well, and that's,
so I don't know how that works. But I do know that back in the day when it was all cash and there was constantly cash coming in, those people were making money hand over fist because they never reported any of that stuff. So they're reporting their $4.75 an hour or whatever they were making as a server.
So there's no tax cut here is what I'm trying to get at, right? Because the no tax on tips only applies to cash tips. It does not apply to tips that you receive via card. Well, that's 99% of all the tips that everybody is getting. Now. So you're paying taxes on those tips.
I wonder.
This is a way to make a campaign promise and not actually do anything.
It makes me want to pay with cash, though, if it goes through.
Yeah.
It's going to make me want to pay with cash more because if I pay with cash, then I know that the person who is serving me at least gets the tip and they don't have to pay for those taxes.
I want to give out just the tip.
Yeah, it's and I want to get cash for it.
And I want to get Now, no taxes on overtime. I like that. I'm going to tell you, I like that. I think, you know, many of us, and I think about a lot of the people that I manage in my day job that routinely are working 60, 70, 75 hours a week. I mean, during the summertime.
Fuck, dude.
It is routine to work 60. It's not unusual to work 70. There's people that are working 80.
What does a 60-hour work week look like? 5 days, 12 hours?
5 12s. Yeah. So
fuck you, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of that back in the day. I did a lot of that on salary back in the day.
Fuck that
I did a lot of
shit.
80-hour work weeks back in the day.
I mean, I say that and I work 60 hours a week easy
all the time.
myself.
I know you do.
But I'm doing it in a different way. Like, it's just like, it feels different when I do it than when somebody else does it. But still, I would never have done that for any of the jobs that I had before.
I did that. Well, you know, there are also some laws that are, I think, now going to be rolled back because they were Biden administration laws, which are good laws, which were going to limit the number of people that could be declared as exempt from overtime. So remember, not everybody who works over 40 hours gets overtime.
Yeah.
The number of people, the exceptions for people continue to grow year after year. And I'll offer a personal example. When I got my first job I worked for real estate title insurance. They made me a manager in the first 6 months that I got that job. And they did that because that way they could pay me my salary and work me like a fucking rented mule and not pay me $1 of overtime. There was a law that was supposed to come through this year, which said basically anybody earning under a certain dollar amount.
That's a great fucking law.
Right. If you don't make a certain dollar amount, you get overtime, right?
That's fucking great. That should absolutely be a fucking law.
Tons of people are exempt from overtime, which means they can be worked 70, 80, 90, 100. You can work them as much as you want. And they don't get overtime. I like not taxing overtime. I'm a fan of that piece. Like, so I don't want to shit on everything that I like.
I'm a fan with it as long as it's coupled with the thing that you suggest.
Yeah.
Because if not, then what you're going to have is just a bunch of people being like, well, now I'm never going to pay anybody overtime. I'm just going to make everybody's salary.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are already reclassed in ways that are tricky in order to not pay them overtime. I don't think this would encourage an employer because employers don't care if you pay taxes on something or don't pay taxes on something.
Right.
They're already going to game it. There is an increase in the child tax credit. I think that's generally good for people. I think we should increase child tax credits in general. It's only for people with social security numbers, though. So they caveated that shit. So people who do not have a social security number will not get a child tax credit. So like if you have a resident alien card and you don't have a social security number, for example, you may not get the child tax credit. So way to be fucking bigoted about it.
Stupid.
Yeah. There is a higher standard deduction. Again, like I can't bitch about that. I think it should grow with inflation. Makes sense to me that you would increase that. There's a no tax for Social Security benefits. I agree with that in principle, but I'm beginning, if you're wondering like I am, how are we going to pay for all of this? I'm beginning to become concerned on how we're going to pay for all of this. The bill allows also a $4,000 deductible deduction for people over the age of 65, phases out for people with higher incomes. Again, I don't really mind about that stuff. That stuff seems fine to me. These aren't big numbers, but they're usable numbers for a lot of people that will be materially affected.
Right.
But I do look at that and I'm like, God, how are we paying for that? Because we aren't bringing in more revenue. So it's a lot of give.
You're cutting. You already are carrying over those tax cuts, and now you're making more cuts.
Then there's the state and local tax deduction known as SALT. This deduction basically it allows, it moves the cap from $10,000 to $40,000 for married couples with incomes up to $500,000. It basically means that like you don't pay taxes twice. So you're not paying taxes on money that you're already paying out for state and local taxes. I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine. Expensive. Don't know how we're going to pay for it, but expensive.
Again, I don't know how you're going to pay for it.
So work requirements for Medicaid, bullshit.
Yeah, that's trash.
Total bullshit. So
that's trash.
It's fucking, this is a terrible.
That's punishing poor people for being poor. That's what it is.
I don't like the way this part of the NPR article is written. It says changes to SNAP. It's not just changes to SNAP. It is reductions in SNAP. 40 million low-income Americans receive SNAP. SNAP is Supplemental Nutritional Assistance. And this bill increases the amount that states have to contribute to that program. So it shifts the burden from federal to states, and it mandates work requirements for SNAP enrollees who don't have dependents. So again, this is part of that, like you got to work to earn stuff. There's a little bit of like smoke and mirrors here too, because most people who get SNAP already work.
Yeah, they
like,
already work.
The vast majority. So this is a lot of this is a play to a base that hates the poor.
Yep, that's exactly it.
We're lifting the debt ceiling. We have to lift the debt ceiling. How are we going to fucking pay for this shit? Ending credits for clean energy. This is a huge bummer. This sucks.
That's stupid.
So
it's
bad.
Fucking stupid.
It ends a whole, I can't even go into all of it. And this article doesn't do it. I looked up all the stuff that's ending. So much stuff is ending. It's just fucking unbelievably depressing. We are going to spend $46.5 billion at the border for a stupid fucking border wall. $5 billion for custom and border protection facilities. $6 billion for more border control agents and upgraded technology. It's fucking so much fucking money. It's so much money. Remember that when somebody doesn't get to eat a food, right?
Yep.
Remember that we built a stupid fucking wall so we can keep people out that we don't even really want to keep out. Like, like someone's got, fucking so stupid. Then they're gonna charge immigration fees to people seeking asylum, which basically makes the asylum process unnavigable for so many people.
So stupid, dude.
So many people. They're overhauling student loans and making the student loan system essentially more expensive.
Yeah, you're gonna get fucked if you have a student loan, essentially.
And that's what's in the bill. This is the big, beautiful bill.
Well, there is also a something in there that had something to say about like, and this isn't in the NPR story. They don't mention an NPR story, and I couldn't find it in a good story to like. But I saw many people mention that there is some rollback of the court's power in these bills that they're trying to like.
Shit, I did see something about that. Yeah.
So I couldn't find it in a regular story though.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't find it in like something from New York Times or something like that. I couldn't find it in those places. And I didn't know how to word it in a way to find it. So I wanted, like, one of the things I wanted to talk about was maybe somehow they're rolling back the court's power. And then also like letting us know that there's a few things that are like, yeah, man, I don't want somebody to get taxed on tips or whatever. That's cool. Like, I'm cool with that. But then they're fucking us by giving more executive power.
So here's an article from The Hill. Congress and the Supreme Court are trying to undermine lower court judges. So this is the one big, beautiful bill. It's got a bunch of the stuff that we already talked about. We already looked at it. It has this, quote, no court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order if no security was given when the injunction or order was issued. So I don't really understand what all that means very well. But there's a law professor from this article who does understand what that means. And that effectively requires payment of a bond before a federal judge can issue an injunction against the government or a private party. So it is a hamstringing of the lower courts.
Yeah, on the lower courts. Yeah.
That's not good, man. That's really
that shouldn't be in a fucking funding bill.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where it shouldn't be, right? And that's where they have to put it, because if they tried to do this outside of a funding bill, it would get filibustered.
Yep.
But they can work their way through this way and get it passed and slip it past the goalie, and they could curtail a lot of the power that the courts have. So I hope this fucker fails, at least fails with some of those provisions that we've been talking about that suck.
Yep.
I hope some of those get pulled out of there. We'll see what happens. It barely made it through the House.
Yeah,
barely made it through the House.
215 is the vote.
Barely made it. So we'll see. I mean, the Democrats are not in a good way right now, but hopefully there's enough Republicans that are pissed off about this than do enough about it to make it so it doesn't go through, or at least go through in the ways that we know it will hurt America.
Yeah, just terrible. It's a fucking scary, terrible bill. This is bad news for almost everybody. Almost, like, unless you're like one of the fucking oligarchs.
All right, so that's going to be it for this week. We are going to be back on Monday. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi-alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/dissonancepod. Help us spread the word by sharing our content. Find us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads, all under the handle @dissonancepod. This show is CAN-credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.